The forgotten priest, the risen king. Before the prophets, before Moses split the sea, before kings and kingdoms wore crowns of gold, there was a man, a priest, a king whose name echoed like a whisper in eternity. Melchizedek, the man without father, without mother, without beginning or end. The year was ancient. The world was still young. Abram, not yet Abraham, had just returned from war, victorious. But in the silence of his return, a man appeared, not a soldier, not a rival, but a priest king from Salem. His name? Melchizedek. He brought no army, no politics, only bread and wine, and a blessing. Then Abram, the father of nations, did something no one expected. He bowed and gave this man a tenth of all. The Bible tells us he was king of Salem, which would one day be called Jerusalem. His title? Priest of the Most High God. But who gave him that title? This was before Israel, before Levi, before the law. So who ordained Melchizedek? Some say he was a pre-incarnate Christ. Others claim he was Shem, the son of Noah, living for centuries. A few believe he was not human at all, but a celestial being appearing in flesh. A priest outside of time. After that mysterious encounter, the Bible falls silent. For 1,000 years, not a word. Then suddenly, in the book of Psalms, he's back. You are a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. Why would King David, a warrior, a prophet, a poet, speak of Melchizedek? In a prophecy of the coming Messiah? What order is this? Why would the Son of God not be called a priest like Aaron, but like Melchizedek? It's not until the New Testament that the curtain is pulled back. In the book of Hebrews, the writer dares to say, Melchizedek, without father or mother, without genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like the Son of God. Was he a shadow of Christ, or was he more? The author says, Levi paid tithes to Melchizedek through Abraham, meaning the entire priesthood bowed to this man. So again, who was he? Why do most churches skip his story? Why is Melchizedek spoken of in whispers, not sermons? Perhaps because his identity disrupts the order. He wasn't Jewish. He didn't come through the law. He needed no genealogy to be great. He represents a power that can't be confined. A priesthood not built by bloodline, but by eternity. And if Melchizedek stands outside of time, then so does the kingdom he represents. One not made by hands, but shaped in the heavens. In a world where we crave beginnings and endings, Melchizedek remains a holy enigma, a man who arrived without history, spoke with divine authority, and vanished, as if time itself folded around him. The priest who had no temple, the king with no throne. And maybe that's why they don't talk about him. When Christ walked the earth, he never called himself a Levite. He never wore priestly garments. He never stepped behind the temple veil. Yet when he spoke, demons fled, storms hushed, and forgiveness flowed like oil from his hands. He forgave sins like a high priest. He blessed bread and wine like Melchizedek. And he entered Jerusalem, not to take a throne of men, but to fulfill a covenant from eternity. The people saw a prophet. The disciples saw a king. But heaven saw the priest. On his final night, Christ did not swing a sword. He did not summon angels. Instead, he lifted bread. He raised wine. And just like Melchizedek before him, he pronounced a blessing, not just over man, but over eternity itself. This is my body, this is my blood, a new covenant. In that moment, the order of Melchizedek was not a prophecy. It became a reality. On the cross, Christ wore no robe, no breastplate, no incense, but he offered a sacrifice, not of lambs, but of himself. And where was the altar? Not in the temple, but on a hill called Golgotha, a place outside the city, just like Melchizedek, a priest outside the system. He didn't serve in the order of man. He served in the order of the eternal. The temple veil tore, heaven roared, and Melchizedek's shadow became light. After resurrection, he ascended not just to rule, but to intercede. The book of Hebrews says, "We have a high priest who has passed through the heavens, a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek." He doesn't offer blood every year. He doesn't wait for a temple to be rebuilt. He stands forever at the right hand of the Father, speaking your name in holy fire. A priest of a heavenly temple, a king of a kingdom that will never fade. The kingdom of Christ is not built with bricks. It has no address, no capital city, because it was born from the same order as Melchizedek, not in time, but in eternity. You can't vote it in. You can't silence it. You can't burn it down. It moves in the hearts of the humble. It lives in those who carry bread and wine, and dare to believe they've been invited to the table of kings. And in the last days, when kingdoms fall, when systems fail, when gold rusts and names fade, a priest king will return, not in secret, not in silence, but with fire in his eyes, and the sound of many waters in his voice. He will not come in the robes of Levi, but in the garments of Melchizedek, and the world will see that the one they crucified was not just Savior. He was a high priest of an ancient order, the king of an eternal throne, the whisper behind all time, Christ the King, the final veil of Melchizedek. And when that day comes, every knee shall bow, every tongue confess that the forgotten priest was the risen king, a priest with no beginning, a king with no end. A whisper now thundered, and as he ascended, he stepped into the role that time had long forgotten. The forgotten priest was eternal king, and even now his table waits, not for the powerful, not for the perfect, but for those who know that the kingdom was never of this world. You don't need a temple to meet him. You don't need a bloodline to be chosen. Just bread, just wine, just faith. The forgotten priest is the King of Kings, and he still calls from the eternal hills of Salem.